KBLA Talk 1580. As fate would have it, it's time to call me. As fate would have it, let's talk about it. If you heard it today, let's talk about it. If you heard it yesterday, let's talk about it. It's a Talking Point Tuesday. Let's break it down. Break it on down. I must say, yes, indeed. I must say, I have a lot to talk about personally. I hope you had a great weekend. I did. I got to see Beyonce on Friday, and it was amazing, incredible. I'm not even part of the Beehive, but I might be an honorary. On top of that, I ended up going to see LL Cool J is hard as hell. Man, that was a great show, actually. I was surprised. Anyway, why was I surprised? Not because I doubted LL, but just because I wasn't expecting so much to occur. More on that later as we celebrate 50 years of hip-hop. Today's episode of First Things First is brought to you by Wealth Management Financial Advisors. They've got tax services. Whether you are a small business, a nonprofit, or an individual, they can help you out. You've got financial planning and more. Find them at wealthmanagementlb.com. wealthmanagementlb.com, or call 562-427-8877, 562-427-8877. He listened, he heeded the call, and he picked up his phone. Fixico, good morning.
Greetings, Madam President, and happy National Underground Railroad Month. And I'm a private sector partner for the Network to Freedom component of the National Underground Railroad. How I became chosen to be a partner in 2012 at their national conference, I was selected among 9 VIP descendants to go to St. Augustine, Florida, Tea Party country, of Black Seminole, Maroon, Bahamian Maroons, Yamasee, Mexican Muskogos, and Gullah Geechees. I spoke, and as a result of which, I was asked to speak in the Caribbean, and during which I received a credible death threat as verified by local PhDs. Needless to say, I went to the airport early. I reported this fact to Congresswoman Maxine Waters and the Network to Freedom leadership, who, feeling my pain, this is how I became a part of the National Network to Freedom. A regional manager, Guy Washington, said, if these people don't like you, you must be doing something good. So we're going to bring you into the family and make you a partner, which can't stop a bullet, but it will create blowback. Finally, the worst weapon to take to some places is the truth, and that's why they didn't like me. Love you so much, and I just thought I'd add my bit.
Well, I got a question for you, Fixico, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And by the way, it's great to hear from you. It's been a minute. I know you've been busy. You've been working on your writing and your music career and all that good stuff, but it's great to hear your voice. So here's the question. You heard the conversation with Denise Long. We're talking about reparations, and I want to even up the volume even more and just talk about it a lot, because I think that's part of getting past all of these people's mental roadblocks and misconceptions about reparations, is to break it down on a daily basis and provide people with a better understanding. And I think much of what Denise Long was talking about helps folks do just that, is understand what even is reparation, who's paying it, and all that good stuff, and why. One point she made that intersects with the work that you do is about how many folks may not have a birth certificate or may not be able to trace their lineage directly to the 1870 census or any other census. I had one guy on Twitter who said to me, if you're not on the census, you would be listed somewhere as property, either through the records of insurance companies, who there were policies taken out on us just like you would on a car because we were considered property. And of course, we know those insurance companies keep meticulous records, and that, even birth and death records of some states and census should cover most people. Denise estimated about 100,000 may not be covered. I think it may be more than that, and hopefully I'll get to address this with her when we talk in the future, because I'm thinking about people who, as your ancestors, may have gone into maroon communities, or people who may have escaped and change their names, or folks who may have escaped and been slaughtered, but yet their descendants could be somewhere else. You know what I mean? That the paper trail is not always going to be a straight line for the descendants of American slavery. What do you think about that? You think that, that 100,000 sounds about right? Do you think most people can document themselves as you have done rather meticulously, or could it be more challenging for some?
Well, I didn't hear the earlier conversation, but I'm glad that you took me over the geography. And the fact is, if you were here, you should be worthy of it. And many times we can't necessarily see my identity. I was a victim of natal alienation, meaning it was so much trauma in my background. My biological mother was willing to see me dead before she would tell me who my father was. And a lot of that information among my people, my ancestors, was lost in these forced migrations and escapes. And I asked one lady, what stopped the transfer of this information? She said it was the women, because it was cousins having babies with cousins. So there's so many reasons. We can't be tied to paper. No, I agree with you 100% on that, Madam President.
That's interesting. I mean, you said forced migrations. I didn't mention that, but the other thing it makes me think of are the people that are in situations like, in Oklahoma, right? And the many, many, many other white race riots and terror attacks that literally burned people's property to the ground. Their businesses were lost. They fled to other states, or their children did, even without parents. Kids that were put on trains and sent north to escape one, two, or the other thing. How would we document those folks?
Yeah, and what you're saying is exactly right. It was so difficult until I am a descendant of the Underground Railroad that ran south, and you see the documentation for that begins not in 1619, but more like in 1526. That is in the Spanish records. So in so many areas, I didn't even find out who I was till I was 52 years old. And then the Smithsonian Institution researchers did it, and that's how I became on the map. So we have to go further than just the documentation of paper, even in oral history. What is the likelihood that you had ancestors in a particular area? Because believe me, if they were there and they were black, you deserve to get it.
And when you say you're looking at are you talking about like genealogy? You go and you start trying to do some kind of investigation with whatever you do have?
Well, as I said, when I became of knowledge of who I was, and I couldn't understand why the transfer had stopped from one generation to another generation. They have things like, say, blacks who were with the Scots Irish. The white guy would come and he would marry a high-ranking Indian woman who had the benefit of her list of inheritance. Her children could be a chief. Where they may bring that Indian to the city until he could look at a white girl, then he got to go back at a tribe after he had raised that. But the issue was, say, like there's a family among the black Indians. The white guy was named Grierson, but all of the children had to be named Grayson. So it's these corruptions that are in the documentation. So if you look in the documentation, unless you are trained, researcher, you won't know how to delve deep and define is that, oh, Grayson, that means we got to look back, or Faye, or whatever. There's a corruption of names, and you would really have to be almost a historian of great repute to find out your ancestry.
Well said. I appreciate the impromptu interview, Fixico. It's just so fascinating. You said you didn't hear the prior conversation because I was like, oh, Fixico's calling. And it was right in alignment with what we were talking about, just in terms of discovering and really being clear as much as we can be about what it will take to find our own
what
proof
I like
of who we
about
are.
You,
Yeah.
What I like about you, you're always fighting for the faceless, nameless, those who are in the corner, and sometimes that's where it all is. If we just take the time to say, well, you can't document it on these census, but were you here in some kind of way, or say like the Network to Freedom, they have documented 700 points of escape. And so that's why I'm so happy to be a part of that program, and have been honored to have been brought in there. So I just love what you do. You're always fighting for the downtrodden, faceless, nameless people, and that's where we are. That's exactly where we are.
And I appreciate you and your unofficial role as the official historian of KBLA Talk 1580. Great to talk with you, Fixico.
Thank you so much for holding my title.
And it's one of those lifetime appointments. It's like being on the Supreme Court, only it doesn't come with a check. Look, as fate would have it, you are supposed to talk to me today. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. We are unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I was crossing the street when I met the love of my life. I chased after her. Nothing would stand in my way. Not the dog walker, nor the hot dog vendor. Finally reaching her, I asked, "What do you call that amazing smell?"
It's Gain Flings.
Gain Flings. My love had a name, but more importantly, it had a scent.
Fall in love with Gain Flings. Seriously good scent. Gain Flings with 50% more freshness ingredients versus leading bargain detergent.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative NBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Don't settle for bumps, ingrowns, and itch due to dry skin. Venus for Pubic Hair and Skin is here with the only razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area, featuring a razor with a patented irritation defense bar and skincare regimen that is dermatologist and gynecologist tested. Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave irritation. Visit GilletteVenus.com to learn more about our full regimen of products.
Venture X from Capital One is the travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for
All right, team.
details.
Apps on the table by 7:30 sharp.
Jalen and his catering company have a lot on their plate.
Really particular.
He needs a bigger team to continue climbing up the food chain.
Got this event. Hey, Mitch, was that contract for 200 or 250 people?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Gotta stay fresh, ma. House shot with a rest bar.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I do appreciate you. As fate would have it, it's the perfect time to call me, 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. We've been talking reparations. We're going to keep talking reparations, but we'll call it freestyle phone. So whatever is on your mind, that's what we can address right now, 800-920-1580. Hi, Cindy from Inglewood. What is on your mind this beautiful morning?
For taking my call, and thank you, Denise. I've been enjoying this conversation. And Dominique, I saw you, but I'll stay on reparations.
You don't have to. I mean, we can do it all. You saw me where? Was I at Beyonce? Was I at LL Cool J? Where was I?
It was Beyonce. It was Instagram. Yeah.
On Instagram. I thought you were there. Oh. Okay.
No. Sorry.
I was doing too much on Instagram. I know. I was really doing too much.
It was beautiful. Nice to see you having fun.
Thank you.
But I thank you, Denise Long. I'm so grateful that you brought her back on. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you for being very specific in a claim. And if you let me just say an analogy really quick, Dominique, about 5 years ago, I was speaking about the conversation about reparations. And I always came to me the analogy of if you have a car accident and everybody on that freeway gets to get on your claim, it can't happen because why would everybody on the freeway? It should be very specific and not to say anything, but I mean not to say anything, but not to be any kind of like beef or whatnot. It has to be very specific, and that's why it hasn't moved. But right now, it's very specific, and I'm so in awe of that because the harms that were done. It needs to be repaired.
I don't think that's the only reason it hasn't moved. I mean, I don't think that's. Okay. I think a big reason is racism, right? These ideas that if you give black people money, they're going to waste it anyway. Which one is none of your business, and two is none of your business.
Right.
Also, this idea that we can't afford it, it's too expensive. As Denise rightly said, that somehow it's something we vote on. A matter of public opinion, as opposed to a debt that is owed to Black Americans. Go ahead, though.
I like that. Yeah, thank you. And I was going to elaborate on that part, too, when she said that. And just thank you for the clarification of everything from Andrew Johnson all the way down to how it was sabotaged by the Confederates. And like I said, we're the only ones with the slave master's last name. That alone right there, the Nixon benign neglect policy, property, all that stuff has to come into the fact of how it harmed us. I don't know where I come from. That hurts, However, I want to thank you guys. And I just have one question, Dominique, to Denise. Do you know when they'll do a roll call, registration? When are they going to get started, like moving it where you do bring your documents in? And I'll take the answer.
Okay, Cindy. Well, yeah, we are far from that right now. Well, let me not say that. Let me think positive. We're not at that phase right now. In the state of California, the California Task Force has issued 2 reports, a preliminary report and then recommendations. Those recommendations would have to be put into action by legislation. And they include payments, but they also include changes to laws, changes to policies that have had a net negative impact on Black people, Black Americans. I think that the only way it happens is, even though Denise is correct, it's not a matter of public opinion, and I think bringing it back to a contract is very brilliant. This is a contract that America made with Black people and did not fulfill, as opposed to just trying to make an emotional plea of some kind. I think that's smart, but none of it happens until we move the public, and the only reason for that is because those lawmakers that need to write those checks and sign those bills and create that legislation are concerned about their public image, right? Why did Gavin Newsom appear to back off once the task force recommended money? Because Gavin Newsom, I believe, will run for president and doesn't want to have to run for president as the white boy who gave Black people reparations, because he'll lose too many votes. Even if he personally believes that it's the right thing to do, I don't think he'll do it because he'll lose too many votes. It makes you almost unelectable. Same reason that, well, I can't say it's the only reason, but I believe it's one of the big reasons why Joe Biden doesn't just sign a freaking executive order stating that we are going to study reparations, basically making H.R. 40, which was meant to be the study of reparations for Black people in America, into an executive order and just giving a directive that this study be done. He could do that. I don't think he will, because it will make him virtually unreelectable. And, Cindy, did you want to react? I was leaving a space there for you, but that's why when people used to say to me, why doesn't Barack Obama sign reparations? A lot of people were mad about that. Well, even if he could do actual reparations by executive order, we know he could have at least done the study. For me, the question is, why didn't Clinton do it? Why didn't Bush do it? Why didn't Trump do it? Why do we as Black people think the only person who has the responsibility to do that is the first Black president who happened to be part of the repair? Now, I'm not saying I would have been against it if he did it, although he probably would have been assassinated for it. But why can't it be Biden? Why can't it be? Couldn't it have been Trump? To me, the reason is because of electability.
Electability. Well, usually when you have a claim against like a company, you have to get a third party. So wouldn't the world courts be the one to step in for that issue? Or am I way out of line?
You know what? It's a great question. I don't think it's going to happen, because the world courts usually only like to go after Black countries. They like to go after African nations. They don't like going after folks that aren't Black to hold them accountable. And maybe we could see that changing, but I don't think so, number one. Number two, do they have the authority to intervene in domestic policy? Usually with world court, well, I don't know. Because it is, as Denise said, a crime against humanity, and that's what we usually talk about. When we talk about the world court, you're talking about crimes against humanity, war crimes, all of these situations that where it goes beyond the domestic borders of the United States or whatever nation we're talking about, and becomes an issue of global import.
I have faith, Dominique. It's going to happen.
Oh, I think so
Thank
too.
you.
I think it will too. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the conversation. Yeah, I mean, certainly when you look at the idea of the enslavement of people of African descent, Black people, when you look at the idea of the so-called triangular slave trade, or the Ma'afa, it is a global war crime, a global scenario. the Portuguese, the French, the British, the Spanish, the English, all participated. But we're talking about a solution that pertains only to the United States. If it went to the World Court, I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but it seems to me you would then have to address all of the participants of the flesh trade, the people that made mega profits off the degradation and the actual trafficking of human beings. And so I wouldn't be mad at that. I would love to see everybody held accountable, but I'm not sure how that would play out in terms of the jurisdiction of our sovereign nation. 800-920-1580 is the number to call if you want to join the conversation. I'm Dominique DePrima, and this is the place where we are elevating Black and progressive voices around the clock. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. African-American Oprah Winfrey and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson are catching a lot of heat after posting a video asking for donations to help victims of the Maui wildfires. The video posted to each of the duo's Instagram accounts asked viewers to donate to a relief fund that they just launched with $10 million of their own. But for the tens of thousands of viewers who commented and shared the video, that wasn't enough. A majority of the comments said Winfrey and Johnson can afford to donate more and they should be asking their millionaire friends, not common people, to donate. About 30,000 people are believed to be still at the Burning Man Festival in the Nevada desert. Traffic finally started to pour out of the counterculture event yesterday after heavy rains flooded the area, turning it into a mud pit. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Right now at Lowe's, buy one, get one 50% off on select interior and exterior paints and exterior stains via Lowe's gift card rebate. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 9/6. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details. While supplies last.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. Interesting match tonight in the U.S. Open tennis tournament. Two brothers are facing each other in the quarterfinals. Francis Tiafoe, ranked 10th in the world, takes on number 35, Ben Shelton. Tiafoe and Shelton are two of only three Americans left in the men's bracket. On the women's side, 19-year-old Coco Gauff is in the quarterfinals for the second straight year. She faces Jelena Ostapenko of Latvia Tuesday morning. Some household trouble for the Dodgers. Starting pitcher Julio Arias was arrested on charges of felony domestic violence, his second domestic incident. Arias was released on $50,000 bail. His court date is September 27th. The Dodgers are in Miami tonight to start a 6-game road trip. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580 is inviting you to join us on Saturday, September 16th, 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for our very first economic empowerment event for the community. This event is free and is powered by Caltrans. We're doing this in association with Rambo House, and here's Rambo to tell you more.
Contracts. I'm going to say it again for all of us small business owners out there. Contracts. Rambo House, KBLA, Tavis, me. Oh my God, this is going to be massive. I truly thank Caltrans for giving us the opportunity to focus on contracts. Listen, that's what it's all about to be a small business in LA. That's how we hire our own. That's how we expand our community is contracts. KBLA1580.com is for you to have a seat at our contracts-focused event. Contract Ready does it again. We had over 900 last time. So you guys know how exciting this is. And if you just think that you want to get into contracts and you're close to it, bring your friends out for September 16th at the Marriott Hotel. Listen, you know where to register. KBLA1580.com. Come see me. I can't wait to see you. Let's do it, Tavis.
So be sure to go to KBLA1580.com for all the details. We'll see you Saturday, September 16th.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you Your family and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. We started off the day talking about reparations, and I kind of feel like we just can't talk about it enough. Not only between ourselves, but among the people in our lives, our loved ones, relatives, and friends and frenemies who are not black. Because the idea that this is optional or that somehow we can normalize not giving reparations has to stop. And the only way it stops is with us. We cannot allow the wiggle room of, this is something optional. And it's one of the reasons why I'm happy to be in conversation with people from all over the reparations spectrum, whether you're a Pan-Africanist, whether you're with one of the old guard reparations organizations or a young person blazing a new trail, whether you're on the left or on the right. Can you imagine if people like Denise Long, Rashid Littlejohn, and others of their kind of mind frame could actually convince the Tim Scotts of the world to back reparations? It would be a game changer, because I think it's so easy to pit us against each other. And traditionally, that's one of the playbook's sort of basic moves. I think when Ron DeSantis said that they were going to, and they have moved forward with it, by the way, teach in Florida schools that slavery was good for some black people because they learned job skills. He kind of backed off that public position to a degree, not fully, but to a degree, when Tim Scott and other black Republicans said, you know what, that's a bridge too far, dude. And I think that as long as they don't have a Jesse Peterson or a Clarence Thomas to wedge in between you and all the other black people, that it makes it a lot harder to make that claim using trickery and spin to make it seem like we're asking for a handout, asking for welfare, looking for a free lunch, going to squander it anyway. Those are all the talking points. I can't even imagine any person, let alone a conservative, fixing their mouth to tell a Holocaust survivor, the descendant of a Holocaust survivor, that they did not deserve repair because they might squander it. And when and although I don't always like doing that, well, if the person was white, well, if the person was Asian, well, if the person was Jewish, because it seems trite to me, sometimes when you put things in that context, we realize how totally anti-black that talking point is. I can't pay you back because you're too trifling and you're going to go waste your money on a BBL. None of your business. If my reparation is a bigger butt, so be it. It's not your concern. And that is one of the reasons why I like this idea of reminding people, especially conservatives and white folks, this is not a moral obligation. This is not one of those commercials on CNN where they show you how poorly these dogs or African children are being treated, and so therefore send $1. No, this is a deal that was made as part of the culmination of the Civil War to pay us our due. And really, if you look at it in terms of what has been profited and how this nation became the premier superpower in the world, the economic miracle of the globe, how did that happen? 12 generations of free labor? I mean, just about any business, if you give them 12 generations of free labor, you better succeed. If you don't succeed with 12 generations of free labor, you are never going to succeed. And so looking at it in the context of that, a business deal, and what a small investment it is compared to the gain, the profit that's been made by the labor of Black Americans, then perhaps it will give you a different perspective altogether. And to say that it's never going to happen, that's not a good talking point either. I remember this very clearly from when the presidential campaign of Barack Obama first came into the national spotlight. And I can't tell you how many Black people, specifically Black nationalists, who had slammed me over the years because my mom is white. But for those of you who accept the construct of white, that's what she would be categorized as. I know that it's a racial, it's a social construct. It's a made-up thing. My mom is a descendant of Italian people. She's an Italian Sicilian American. The same people that would constantly try to tell me I wasn't Black enough for their measuring stick were telling me that it wasn't Barack Obama's turn, that we needed to get together behind Hillary Clinton, that because it would never happen, because it's, quote, not realistic, as Bob Iger famously told the actors and writers who are still on strike, striking through Labor Day. It's not realistic. It'll never happen. It's a terrible argument. Everything is impossible until you do it. And I do think that Japanese Americans are a good example because it's something that's happened within our lifetime. Now, their reparation check was something like $20,000 for each person, which is clearly not enough money for being put in concentration camps, losing your property, losing your reputation. I can't imagine the trauma. But as one of my friends who's a Japanese American and who fought for those reparations told me, one of the biggest parts of that was the recognition, the acknowledgement of the harm, the fact that there were hearings and people got to tell their stories and got to be recognized for their pain and suffering and the injustice that happened, and how that humanizes people, not only to the broader society, but within their own families, right? So he was sharing with me about, Japanese American children who looked down on their parents because they didn't understand what happened in those concentration camps or internment camps. The damage to their careers, to their educations, people pulled out of college. That vindication, that exoneration, that acknowledgement was a big part of it, was a big part of their own family healing and the healing of the relationship with the United States and the U.S. government. And so to say reparations is a waste of time, and I can't tell you how many different conversations I've had like this. It's never going to happen. It's a waste of time. I just want mine now. I just want to live my life and get mine now in today's economy. It's not either or. Get yours now. Go on and be that millionaire, billionaire, thousandaire that you're working to be. And then if you don't want your reparation, you can donate it. Donate it to the unhoused, most of whom are black. Donate it to another family member who's struggling. Donate it to an anti-racist organization. That's what you can do. Don't stand in the way of progress, and don't say it's not going to happen. I look to the words of the great Muhammad Ali. Impossible is nothing. It's not too late to call me, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DePrima. This is KBLA Talk 1580, 40 acres and a mic.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
The Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center proudly presents its 25th annual Real Black Men Short Film Showcase, September 22nd through September 24th. Join us for the opening night celebration on Friday, September 22nd, and enjoy the short film showcase featuring 47 films by emerging black male directors from across the country. Continuing on Saturday, September 23rd and Sunday, September 24th. All events will be held at the Regal LA Live Cinemas, 1000 West Olympic Boulevard in downtown Los Angeles. For more information and tickets, visit bherc.org. That's bherc.org or call 323-957-4656. That's 323-957-4656. Don't miss your chance to celebrate excellence in black cinema all weekend long at the Real Black Men Short Film Showcase. See you there.
Be ready for extreme heat in your area. On days when extreme heat is expected, take action to keep your home as cool as possible. Set your air conditioner to 78 degrees. If AC isn't available, close blinds and curtains on all windows and run fans counterclockwise. Or find your nearest cooling center. Transportation help may be available. Learn more at heatreadyca.com. Brought to you by the state of California.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here with a quick recap for my time at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. There were speakers Ian Dunlap, Damon John, Lynn Richardson, MC Light, Don Kennedy, to name a few. Take a listen to what Justin Grant, Community Development Lead at Chase's Advancing Black Pathway, let's see what he had to say.
So I'm Justin Grant. I lead community development and national partnerships for JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Pathway strategy. And so we're focused on strengthening the economic foundation of black communities, and we're making targeted investments in programs like the Advancing Black Wealth Tour to help us get our tools and resources out to the community to drive sustained impact over time.
So when it comes to black and brown people, it sounds like Chase is making it their personal responsibility not only to facilitate these events, but to educate and provide resources. So, Mr. Grant, I have to ask, what does wealth building look like for the individual?
It's home ownership, it's having that freedom to be able to start your own business and create jobs in your community, and it's having that long-term plan towards retirement, having that vision for what you want your life to be, and you have the resources to actually live it.
I'm Maisha Cairo. Thanks for sticking around. That was my recap from Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. First stop was here in LA, and they're taking it national.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
And today at Scholarly Match is you, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. When we talk about Japanese American reparations, a lot of us think it, was quick. It popped out of nowhere just because we weren't tracking it. That is why. The fight for reparations among Japanese Americans actually started back in the 1970s, and they continued, actually 1970, I believe, and they continued their fight with national hearings, with a legal strategy which debunked the constitutionality of putting Japanese Americans in concentration camps at all during wartime. And so they had a multi-pronged campaign that led to their success. And one of their allies was a prominent African-American, Merv Dimely. So It is certainly poetic justice to see Japanese Americans standing up as they have almost universally in calling for reparations for us, Black Americans. Let's go to Ronnie calling us from Orange County. Jumbo, Ronnie, what's up?
Jumbo, Dominique, I'm going to call it Black Track, all right? I was adopted at 6 months old, and with that adoption, on the birth certificate, it says never to contact biological. Now, I served in the United States Air Force, had a secret, top secret, and a nuclear clearance. I will burn this place down if they can't black track me.
That,
And that goes to the Fixco conversation and the conversation you had with your guest just prior to that.
No, it absolutely does. That's why I said because we didn't even touch on adoptions and kidnappings and those babies that were taken from their families.
Kind of went there, and but there's so much there, and again, I served this doggone country, but screw the serve. Don't tell me thank you for my service. Like I said, black track, okay? Because you tell me after all I did, you're going to stop me on this reparations program that's coming up right now? You got problems because you trained me. You know what I know.
Okay, let's not go there, Ronnie. It's only Tuesday, but it's acting like a Monday. But what would you see as a solution to that? You know what I mean? To what we were talking about as far as how do you track all black people? All black people are, and I'm talking about Black Americans. I myself am not so deeply concerned that some immigrants are going to somehow profit off of us.
Nor am I.
And I don't agree with this idea of making them into our enemy in that sense, even if there are some racist ones. So what? There's racists everywhere. But the point is, how do we fix it?
Okay. On the fix, Dominique, there's got to be another commission that deals with, as Fixico eloquently stated, and you co-signed, okay, we have to deal with everything that's not on paper, and we start by the low-hanging fruit, the insurance companies are shallow. Either one of those two are good low-hanging fruit to start with, and there will be questions that will come out of that, and so that commission would need to go into those other questions. So start with the low-hanging fruit, okay, and that's the shallow and the insurance companies. East Indian Trading Company, I mean, they keep excellent records.
Right. But how does they, but we're talking about, and I agree with you and Denise, and even to a point, Tariq Nasheed, to a very small point.
Oh, boy.
But here's the thing, East Indian Trading Company and the census and the insurance companies, they are not going to have records of the ones that ran away and changed their names, and then who are their descendants?
When that question came up about 30 minutes ago, I just did like you, because I really could not even think. Do you have even a thought on how to start the ones that run away or the ones in Oklahoma that were burned out? Because I just shook my head when that question came up.
Well, I think that's why I think this idea of making it so narrowly defined to just, and I understand the legal standing piece, and I'm in accordance with that. But as far as recipients being so narrowly defined to a paper trail, I think we're going to have to get more creative. And I noticed that the California Task Force said, we would give you one thing if you have this documentation, and maybe you would have a lesser claim if you didn't. But what are those alternatives? How can we ensure that the unhoused person that maybe can't trace their lineage all the way to 1870, but nevertheless has been in this country and is a descendant of the enslaved, that they get their due? And I think this is something we're going to have to.
I have a thought.
Okay, hold the thought. I'll love to hear from you when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit savebythescan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
The rent is too damn high. KBLA joins you in calling for affordable housing. The LA Tenants Union is a diverse, tenant-led movement fighting for the human right to housing for all. The LA Tenants Union demands safe, affordable housing and union rent control. They organize against landlord harassment, mass evictions, and displacement, and mobilize for the repeal of the Ellis Act and Costa-Hawkins Act. The LA Tenants Union is on a mission to strengthen tenants' political power through education, advocacy, and direct action. To get help with your eviction or other landlord-tenant issues, take action for justice, or become a member, visit latenantsunion.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, I'm Kate Levy. When I was just 10 years old, I lost my father, Joe, in the 9/11 attacks at the World Trade Center. He was a lieutenant in the New York City Fire Department. For 9/11 this year, now a National Day of Service, I'll be doing what my dad loved to do, helping others in need. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
I'm MC Light for Hip Hop Heritage, celebrating 50 years of hip hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. From its earliest days of show-stopping, DJs and MCs cold rocking parties, to its dominance on the music charts, hip-hop has been the biggest game changer in American music, and I mean ever. And it's not just about the music. It's how we celebrate, how we communicate, how we continue to elevate. Check out Cadillac and see how our swag has evolved and continues to revolve around the world.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
And we're going right to Ronnie, who was talking solutions. Go ahead, Ronnie, in the issue of reparations and making sure that everybody gets their share.
Yes, and I do want everybody to get their share, as you eloquently made that point, not pit us against each other. My actual solution is using the workers' comp concept, where if you've been injured, there is what they call future medical, okay? And there is a pot put to the side for future medical. Use that conscript. That's just a thought.
So, in other words, instead of handing everything out, you leave some to the side for those who are going on the journey of being able to establish their eligibility. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Quite contrary, mon chéri. We want the full pot, and we want a third of another pot for those who have had the most egregious, those people who we can't trace, had the most harm done to them. So that would be a separate pot, okay? Not coming out of the main pot.
I got you. Future medical. Yeah, I've never been on workers' comp because, like Rihanna, all I do is work. But I was out there playing this weekend. But yeah, I think it's really important, Ronnie. I will look into that concept. It sounds about right to have a contingency there because we know what we know, and what we know for sure is that we all are descendants of folks in different paths, right? Our path out of enslavement and into wherever we are right now is going to be different for a lot of folks. And, I didn't see the picture of my great-great-grandma until recently, but how amazing is that? I have an actual photograph of my dad as a little kid, with his dad as a young man, with his mom as a middle-aged lady, and her mom, who was Adelphia, who was enslaved until her teenage years, when she was freed.
What does that mean, Adelphia?
I don't know what it means. It's the name of my ancestor, to whom today's show shall be dedicated, who actually was raised as an enslaved person until her teenage years, when we were supposedly freed, and then went on to live the rest of her life as a free woman. And how, not everybody's going to have a photo or a census report, but somehow, some way, all of those who are deserving need to be able to receive repair. And so we're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep being part of the solution, and part of that solution is understanding, right? Tavis Smiley's up next. We'll keep talking. You know what we do around here. Tomorrow's a Wealth Building Wednesday. You're always welcome to call me. Hit me up on socials, KBLA 1580 on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Me personally, it's Diprima Radio, DIPRIMA. Please like, follow, argue, and let's do this. History is now, right now, and we are making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest to help victims of the Maui wildfires. The video posted to each of the duo's Instagram accounts asked